All right, in the fast-moving world of crypto, there is one date that is circled on pretty much every calendar, October 2025. It's being talked about as a potential watershed moment, and not just for one digital asset, but for the entire altcoin market. Today, we're going to break down exactly what's at stake.
This whole conversation, it really boils down to this one number. We're talking about an estimated $5 to $8 billion in institutional capital. That's money just sitting on the sidelines, potentially ready to flood into altcoins if an XRP exchange-traded fund, an ETF, gets the green light. That is a truly game-changing amount of money.
So, that brings us to this central question, right? We see the potential. We see all that money just waiting. So, what's the holdup? What specific hurdles need to be cleared before this massive shift can actually happen? Let's unpack the journey.
To really understand what's coming, we have to look back a little bit. You see, this October decision isn't just some sudden event. No, it's the culmination of a long, hard-fought battle to build a clear regulatory road. A few key events have paved the way, making this moment a genuine possibility.
This timeline really lays out the critical dominoes that had to fall. It all kicked off back in August 2025 with the huge dismissal of the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple, which set a powerful precedent. Right now, the Clarity Act is making its way through the Senate, which could add even more legal definition. And both of these things lead directly to that crucial decision window this October. The most important thing that came out of that lawsuit was the court saying that XRP, when you and I traded on an exchange, is not a security. This was the single biggest legal roadblock. Getting rid of it cleared the path for major asset managers like Grayscale and Bitwise to even file for an ETF in the first place. It gave institutions the confidence to even think about getting involved. And the Clarity Act, well, it aims to take that legal precedent and basically write it into law. Think of it this way. If an asset is truly decentralized, with no one company in control, it acts more like a raw material, a commodity, like gold or oil, than a share in a company. By setting clear rules for that distinction, the Act could create a superhighway for future ETF approvals, and not just for XRP, but for many others.
So all this regulatory clarity brings us to what the institutions really want. For these big, risk-averse money managers, jumping directly into crypto is just messy. But an ETF? That changes everything. An exchange-traded fund is basically a wrapper that holds an asset, like XRP, and trades on a regular stock exchange, just like a share of Apple. It's the regulated, familiar, and simple gateway they have been waiting for.
And the potential here is just absolutely massive. I mean, look at this. Right now, less than 5% of institutional crypto money is even in altcoins. That means over 95% of their capital is sitting somewhere else. An approved ETF isn't just opening a door, it's potentially opening a door to this vast, untapped landscape of investment.
So why haven't they already jumped in? Well, the old way was full of risk they just couldn't accept. It wasn't just about operational nightmares like managing private keys. For these guys, it was about their duty to their clients and their reputation. They just couldn't justify putting client money into unregulated, complex assets. An ETF completely flips the script, packaging crypto in a product they already know and trust.
So with the stage now set, you've got the regulatory groundwork laid and the institutional demand is clear. The market is basically just holding its breath. Everyone is watching for this perfect combination of factors that could just ignite this space come October.
And it's not just about the SEC decision in a vacuum. A potential perfect storm is brewing. An ETF approval would obviously bring in a ton of capital. But what if you add in the Fed's anticipated rate cuts in September? That could make risk on assets like crypto more attractive. And you consider that traders are watching that $3.26 price level as a key technical signal? Well, any one of these could be a catalyst, but all three together, that's what has the market on edge.
As ETF analyst Nate Garazzi points out, this decision isn't just about XRP. It is about setting the precedent for the entire next wave of crypto products. Whatever happens here will likely dictate the path forward for everyone else waiting in line. And this is the ripple effect, so to speak. A yes for XRP basically creates a regulatory template that could rapidly speed up approvals for other major altcoins, like Solana and Chainlink. This would open the floodgates for widespread institutional adoption across the board.
So, with all this in mind, the big question is, what does this mean for an investor? How do you strategically position yourself for such a major potential shift in the market? Let's take a look at a possible playbook.
Okay, a strategic approach here really focuses on managing risk while capturing opportunity. First, it's smart to hedge against potential delays and the volatility that will absolutely come with them. Second, if and when these ETFs do launch, it's so important to focus on the ones with the best plumbing. That means strong custody and clear, transparent rules for getting your money out. Third, keep a close eye on the Clarity Act's progress. Its passage would be a huge catalyst. And finally, diversification is always smart. Balancing your exposure with established Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs is a great way to manage risk across your portfolio.
At the end of the day, what we could be witnessing here is the beginning of a fundamental shift. An approval in October wouldn't just be a win for one asset. No, it would signal the transition of altcoins from this niche, speculative class into mainstream, portfolio-worthy staples for the world's biggest investors.
And that leaves us with the final question. After years of regulatory battles, debate, and volatility, we have a clear deadline and a whole series of events all coming together. Will this be the moment the floodgates finally open? Well, we're all going to find out together in October 2025.